If you want to make a box from used printed circuit boards, you need to precisely cut all the sides. Here are all the pieces I have cut for my box. I started with taking away everything what was on the circuit board. Then I measured thickness of my boards. Then I defined the internal measurements of the future box. I am going to build the housing for my FM radio. When I had the internal measurements, I could start draw the plan of my box. Then the measurements has been precisely drawn on the PCBs and cut off with the cutter tool. For this box I am going to use the circuit boards which have only one side covered with the copper traces. I had to be careful because the PCB has the tendency to chip out. It was necessary to scratch out the solder mask on the places where the joints will be. I started to solder the PCBs together. I was able to solder only on the places where the traces meet in the corner. If they wouldn't meet, I would use a copper wire to extend the traces. I was putting all my effort to line the pieces correctly and keep them in the right angle. When I wasn't able to achieve this on first pass, it was no problem to correct it by melting the solder repeatedly and moving the side into the right place. Here I started to fit the FM receiver into the PCB box I made. I had this PCB of the FM receiver laying in my workshop for some time. The PCB came from some old radio, maybe from 90s. I've never seen the original radio, I had only this board. It is actually AM and FM radio, but I have shortened the PCB into maybe a third of its original size to make it smaller. I have the receiver set on FM. It has apparently good sensitive receiver because it doesn't require a very long antenna. I can attach everything quickly with the hot glue, but I want it more stronger and I'm going to use screws wherever it is possible to use it in this project. Then I needed to make a working prototype. The receiver can be supplied with the maximum voltage 8 volts, so I decided to step down the voltage with a 6 volt regulator which I had in my home supplies. The audio amplifier I'm going to use is the well-known LM386, which will be powered directly from the 9 volt battery. I have on the receiver board few unnecessary parts which belong to the unused AM receiver, and I need to take one AM belonged bandpass filter to I had necessary place for the potentiometer with the built-in on-off switch. I wanted to give this receiver a very unique look, so I was trying not to leave some unnecessary marks on the outside of the box. I am going to use this telescopic antenna. I wanted to have the antenna insulated from the copper layer on the box, because otherwise I would have the receiver sensitive on a touch. I fixed it with M3 screws and nuts. I have this LM386 audio amplifier module bought from our local Radio Shack. But I'm not going to use it in this project because I don't have enough place for it in my case. Instead of it, I'm going to build a similar LM386 amplifier, but it's going to be much smaller. When the amplifier is done, I am going to start to solder everything together. This project also is going to be super cheap. I am building it mostly from the home supplies. The total cost without the battery I estimate to be around €1. I also use the reused solder. That's one fact about me. This knob came from some old transistor radio. I need to modify it because I don't want it to be sticking out too much from the case. When I dismantle something, I always cut from the cases the plastic columns. Here I am modifying one to make the spindle for the tuning knob. The hole wasn't drilled perfectly in the center, so I needed to correct it. With the help of the radio in my mobile phone, I was able to mark the frequencies of the receiving radio stations. These marks will be enough for the rough determination of the receiving frequency. Here is the radio done. I am going to keep it in my hobby workshop. It sure will be a good toy when I will play with FM bugs and small transmitters. I hope you like this project. I work on other projects and videos. If you want to see them, you can subscribe to my channel.
Ja si myslím, že všetci ukázali niečo, každý má svoje kvality a väčšina z nich si to uhrala. Sa teším, že máme dosť hráčov na to, že vidno, že vedia aj útočníci, vedia hrať, vedia sa presadiť. Obrancovia takisto vedia byť rýchli, vedia byť tvrdí. Ešte máme ďalších hráčov, ktorí nám vlastne tu nastúpili. Som spokojný.
V zámorskej NHL presný zásah obrancu Andreja Sekeru nestačil Edmontonu na ľade Colorada. Domáci zvíťazili 5-1. Brankár Jaroslav Halák z týmu New York.
A preto bol pre ňu veľmi vyvažujúci mechanizmus práve to, že poznala Tommyho, Aniku.